don't even want to cry. But, Tristan and I are, I don't even know if I want to say Tristan and I am having another baby.
It was the most emotional and devastating premiere of the Kardashians on Hulu only ever, and we are here to break down the newest season, the first episode. It was season 2, so welcome back to our channel, everyone. Before we get into the recap, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you are new here. I'm your host, Zachary Reality, with Allison Van Dam and Kayla Thompson. How are you guys feeling on this Friday? Are you happy that it's Friday, and are you happy the Kardashians are back?
Definitely happy on both accounts. And I think I want to preface my reaction because when Kayla was asking me about it, I was like, oh my God, I loved it. And like was just so excited about the first episode, which did not come across well because obviously I'm not loving Khloe's pain. I'm not loving the tears. I'm just happy to have these women back on my screen. And I will say, you and I were taken by surprise, Zach, for season 1 of just this new Hulu show, the style in which they film. It feels like we have a lot more vulnerable kind of, like behind the scenes look at their lives. And that's just continued into season 2. So I'm thrilled. I mean, I just think it, other than like the terrible plot of this episode and feeling for Khloe, I'm really excited for what else we're going to see this season.
Yeah, this for me was interesting because this was kind of like a return, my first real return to the Kardashians. I mean, I used to watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians back in like middle school and freshman year of high school. So this was my first time watching them again in a while. And I could tell the difference in production and just like, it feels like a docuseries a little bit sometimes with that hint of like, there's some comedy and there's some lightheartedness to it because they're a fun family at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, watching Khloe go through this whole entire thing was very interesting to watch. And I really appreciated their vulnerability throughout the entire episode. And to start it off like that with this season was a powerful way to start the season. So yeah, I'm excited to see more from the whole family, but glad that Khloe got to kind of get this out and ahead of it, if that makes sense, and just kind of explain her side.
Yeah, I mean, the season was captivating, this season premiere. I mean, immediately Khloe was vulnerable. As you mentioned, Kayla, like she told us the truth. She told us everything that was going on. We picked up right where we were off, last season when Kim got that phone call and they weren't really saying what was going on. But since the show, filmed months ago before it was aired, like we already knew that Tristan was having another baby and that Khloe was blindsided. So I really appreciated getting the full side of the story on this premiere. And I think it really was important that, she was super honest just because the tabloids and everything is already out there. We already know this. So it's like if they're going to pretend that we don't know things that we already do, it is frustrating. So I really, really appreciated Khloe's honesty. And I thought it was a great way to kind of hook us in for the season because I loved season 1 of Kardashians on Hulu. But, I watch a lot of TV and there was a point where I felt like, oh, just another episode of the Kardashians. Like it was good and then it was like stale. So now that we're here for season 2, I am like so hooked and so excited and really looking forward to seeing where this journey unfolds for Khloe and Kim as they are the 2 main characters they're carrying the show. I mean, Kourtney, we have to talk. I mean, we'll talk about Kourtney showing up like so nonchalant, like, hey, like I'm here with Trav, like in the middle of the baby shower while like Kylie and Kim and Chris have been like literally rallying behind her all week. But let's kind of talk about the tea. Okay, this is where we got our facts straight from Khloe. So she made this decision to have the baby with Tristan before the news broke that Tristan was having another baby with Marley Nichols. Tristan encouraged her to get these embryos in the surrogate by a certain date, by Thanksgiving, which her sisters kind of weighed in on, and Chris saying that Tristan maybe wanted to trap her into having another baby so that she would stay with him. And it was important that they had this baby before the news broke because Tristan knew for months that he was, having another baby with Marley Nichols. And he was even trying to like pay off Marley Nichols to not share the news or just abort the baby. And, Marley has shared her false side of the story. So now that we're seeing Khloe's, dynamic with everything and how she found everything out, I mean, what do you think of trashed in Thompson, Allison?
I mean, the whole situation just makes him trashed in to begin with. The fact that he knew about Marley's baby, that he knew she was pregnant, he's still maintaining a relationship with Khloe. He's talking about, laying down a foundation and like, God willing, if we have more kids. Like we saw all those flashback clips. We saw him in season 1 going to the engagement party for Courtney and Travis. Like they were really giving it a shot. And I think Khloe was getting optimistic again, or at least thinking that they could be somewhat of a family. She had even said Tristan was going to move into her new house, the one she got right next to Chris. So the fact that he was living this kind of double life automatically makes my blood boil and makes me feel really defensive and protective of Khloe. But then when we're hearing that he was pressuring her to do this embryo transfer by a certain date, it made it 10 times worse. I was like, not only are you terrible, you're just slimy and you're icky. And yeah, Chris said it best when they kind of had that family meeting. It was like, he knows what a great person Khloe is. He knows that she's going to prioritize family and her kids above all. It's why she had him in both delivery rooms. But I'm like, oh, he just made it so much worse by like pressuring her to have a second kid by a certain date.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you this, Kayla, like, because a lot of people are saying, oh, Khloe would have had it anyway. She wanted a second child. It's just easier to stick with one father. So the kids are, biologically, full siblings versus half. If she cared about that, she's not going to get sperm from a random stranger. She's too famous. Is there anything Tristan could have done differently in this situation? I mean, obviously, but what could he have done differently? And how do you think Khloe would have reacted if she did get a heads up? Do you think she still would have had the baby?
Wow. I would hope that she wouldn't still have the baby with him. Yeah. I think, the last time that, I weighed in with you guys on Kardashians, I was talking about, I think we were talking about Kim and just like, her and Pete obviously broke up and like, who do we want to see her be with? And I feel the same that I felt about Kim that I feel about Khloe. Like, I'm like, you are Khloe Kardashian. Okay. Let's just let that sit. You are Period. Khloe Kardashian. Period. You deserve way better than this. Like you can have any guy you want, but also you could have somebody that's like a little older, a little bit more like kind of, I don't know, higher than you or something in terms of like, their life and just the kind of above it all and just like, has it together, let alone somebody who's cheated on you multiple times, who is, even if Tristan were to say, hey, I'm having this child with this other person, even if you went out and said that first, I would be like, yeah, I'm all set. Like, yes, it would be great to have my kids all have the same dad, but am I going to have another kid who has like kind of a crazy person for a dad? No, I'm going to have another kid with somebody who knows how to act. Like,
she was like, I'm worried my kids will have daddy issues.
Exactly.
She was worried about how her kids are going to be raised. Like she was holding on to Tristan because she wanted this family dynamic and she gave it everything she had. And I mean, I think we're all thinking like, Khloe, you should have left him the first time he cheated on you. Like, of course this is going to happen because this is his past. This is the second pregnancy in a row where this similar situation, like Tristan has shown time and time again for over 3 years that he is just not a good partner to her and he treats her like crap. He seems like a great dad. He doesn't seem fully present in the kids' lives. He's a basketball player. He's not living with Khloe all the time. Maybe he's in and out, but I think she finally cut off communication after this. This was the last straw. So I think at the end of the day, it's a blessing she was able to have another child. This is what she truly wanted. And she's done with Tristan. I don't think she'll ever get back with him, but she clearly still will always respect him as the father of her kids. Yeah. Now, during this episode, we saw that Khloe couldn't find the joy in having this baby. She wanted to keep it a complete secret so that the public couldn't find out and bash her during this stressful time. And she couldn't find the joy in having the baby because she felt so detached from the situation, knowing that she was not carrying it, the surrogate was. So it's not like she could have those, baby moments with like the belly and the kicks and the doctor's appointments. And then she also wasn't sharing this with anybody because she felt she had to keep it a secret. She wasn't talking to Tristan. She couldn't tell her daughter True because True is a blabbermouth. You know, she's 4, she's telling everybody. And then she really couldn't tell any of her friends or family, or she couldn't deliver furniture to her house because then the furniture person could leak something. So she was just doing everything she could to keep this as private as possible. But she was able to confide in a few people, which we really saw Kylie step up to the plate. We saw Kris Jenner, we saw Kim, Malika, and their cousin Cece. Allison, talk about, you know, those relationships. I mean, obviously they were all so amazing for Khloe with the emotional support, but what really like stuck out to you out of the people that were there for her this episode?
I think the person who stuck out the most to me was honestly Cece. And I think the scene with Cece and Kris at the condo was what Khloe really needed. And I'll tell you why, because obviously her sisters and her mom are going to be there for her through and through and through. But as we even saw with that kind of leaked footage from the end of season 1, Kim, not knowing that they had done this embryo transfer, had said, well, if this isn't a sign for you to not have any more kids with him, like, I don't know what is. And I'm guessing that because they were all so protective and defensive of her with the cheating coming out, they were bashing on Tristan, whatever, not knowing that, you know, she was expecting another child with him. And although I believe that they all did like a full 180 pivot and will do nothing but love this baby, as we saw in this episode, that's hard for Khloe to then kind of be like, well, actually, I have something to tell you guys. Like it takes the joy out of that announcement because it's coming off of something so traumatic and so crazy. So I think honestly, the scene with Cece really warmed my heart and kind of proved that like there are really just pure positive reactions. And when she said like, I'm having another baby, the first question out of Cece's mouth was, do we know if it's a boy or a girl? It wasn't, is Tristan the father, da, 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 da. And she was just so excited for Khloe. And she was saying, you're the best mom. This baby's going to be so loved. And I'm wondering if that wasn't kind of a catalyst into what made Khloe change her mind about the whole baby shower of it all, because she was finally able to tell someone just point blank, I am having a baby, and see that reaction, not have it be adding context to Tristan cheating.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, I love Malika and I think she's so supportive, but I have noticed that every scene she always asks, how's Truth's father? How's Truth's father? Like, I'm not, and like, that's a valid question, right? And like, of course, best friends, they're going to gossip. But I do agree. I think that was amazing how Cece was there and just so supportive. Kayla, why don't you talk to me about like the Kylie or the Kim of it all, like, or Kris Jenner, like they were really rallying behind her, and Khloe is just, she's so indebted to her family for the emotional support.
Absolutely. You know, that was actually the first person that came to mind when it came to the people who came and supported Khloe was Kylie. And I was kind of like, I wasn't surprised because I know that they were very close, but Kylie's the youngest one. And for Kylie to kind of step up and to give her the support, give her, I mean, I found like in the conversation where she was giving her some baby clothes, Kylie was kind of like offering some advice and offering some like words of wisdom. And I was like, this is really nice to see from Kylie. And she wasn't even really like outwardly like aghast or upset. It was just like, hey, you know, it kind of came off, this is a situation, but here's some baby clothes. We're going to make this a happy thing. You know, obviously Kris just wanted her to be so happy. I mean, you really feel, I think from this episode, it reminded me again how much the Kardashians are just a strong family. They really, really are. And they care so much about each other. They didn't make it about, you know, Khloe, you shouldn't have gone back to him. You shouldn't have trusted him again. They didn't say none of that. They didn't, and they totally could have in this kind of reality drama show. But it's like, they just kept it about Khloe, kept it about the baby. And I thought that was really great. Watching Kim vlog style in the hospital. I'm going to, you know, pick up Khloe. And I mean, it seemed like Kim knew more about what was going to happen in the delivery than Khloe, in like a way if she was just so involved. You know what I mean?
Well, Kim has went through the surrogacy
really nice
process. You know, Kim had a surrogate.
Right.
She was the only other sister too. And then Kylie, I think, was able to provide the support in that she just had a baby who we still don't know the name of. And she kept that private. One thing I want to say before we get into the baby shower is what's so interesting is this news broke that Khloe was having a baby 3 months ago or like 2 months ago, right? When was this filmed? Because, you know, they have a quick turnaround then, or they filmed this scene and edited in the first episode. And then the rest of the show is probably from months ago because she just had the baby 2 months ago. And then we saw the baby delivered in this first episode, right? But the rest of the
Yeah.
season is not going to be the past 2 months. It's from earlier this year, Kravis' wedding. So there's just a little bit of editing going on here, which is fine because I think that this episode was really all about Khloe and meant for Khloe. But I do think that's just an interesting point. Now we get to the baby shower, which the family decided to throw her a very intimate baby shower. Maybe 10 people. Courtney and Travis showed up, Malika, Khadijah, Cece, and Kim gave a very emotional speech, going around the table. And they were all giving suggestions for the baby's name. Khloe said she wants it to start with a T. When she left the hospital, she said that there's no name, but she wants it to start with a T. Now, Allison, you sent something over to me earlier about it possibly being Snowy. What are your thoughts on what the baby's names are? And is this a new trend? Like, do we just have kids and not name them? Or are they just truly keeping it a secret?
Well, I'll talk about the Snowy thing in a second because I have kind of a slightly different theory about that whole thing. But I will say with the name, it makes sense that we're doing a T. We have True Thompson. She wants to keep it cohesive. Obviously, she is Khloe Kardashian. We love a good alliteration. But what cracked me up was, I think it was in the Beverly Hills condo, and Chris is pulling up names of boys' names that start with a T. And she's like, Tom, Tim. And I'm like, these are not Kardashian level names. Like, do you know what your grandkids don't have babiesnames.com names. It's just not how your family works. So I'm not sure why we're Googling that, but whatever. Corey had an interesting suggestion. He threw out 10, which I kind of thought was an interesting idea. Kind of cool. Yeah.
I kind of liked
it. But
it.
my theory, and I think maybe what I was hearing online, is there was that scene where Khloe FaceTimed True, or was it True, on FaceTime to show her her little brother. And she was like, hi, Snowy. And she was like, his name's not Snowy. But as we've just said, Kylie just had a baby. He's probably similar age. And so I'm like, maybe she's FaceTimed Kylie's son recently, Stormy, Snowy. And then that was Khloe's way of being like, no, babe, different baby. This is not your cousin Snowy. This is potentially Tim, but we're not sure.
Allison.
And they also are executive producers in their show. So they're not just going to keep this in. If it was super top secret, they're not just going to keep this in of True saying that. So it's possible that the baby's name is Snowy, and this was a hint to let us know. Or it's possible that they were just trying to kind of throw us off.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be to throw us off completely. Or potentially maybe that was just the nickname they were using in the interim, like while Kylie got a name. Maybe it was just something, you need to call your baby something. You can't just call it baby.
Yeah.
So maybe Snowy was just like a funny nickname they threw out there as kind of a placeholder because it sounded like Stormy, but it was definitely an interesting thing to keep in there.
For sure. Yeah. And by the end of the episode, we saw Khloe, have the baby through this. We didn't see the surrogate, but, we saw her holding the baby. She FaceTimed all of her family and friends. Kendall, Kravis, Courtney, Travis. I'm just kidding. Travis. And Tristan even came in at the end to meet the baby. So I think Kim was saying that there's 2 people in the delivery room. So I think Kim, she really stepped up. Hats off to Kim. I think her and Khloe were in the delivery room with the surrogate. And then I think Tristan came to the hospital an hour or 2 later and was there to have those moments with Khloe. So how do you kind of think she handled the birth situation, Kayla, with Tristan and everything?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, with Tristan. I mean, I think she was amazingly graceful and generous. But at the same time, it is, with that being said, it still is just as much his baby, just as much as it is hers. So I understand that. But even just the way she was in the room, she wasn't like rude or very super, super cold. She kind of was just like, and, kind of having small interactions, but, I think that she handled it well. Tristan, on the other hand, I feel like it's interesting that we don't really get not like we need his side, but just like, he just kind of comes in.
Give him confessionals. So, I know it's their show, but like,
he looks just
in
like
any
Drew.
other show, any other reality show, like you want the baby daddy's confessionals too. Like it's part of TV. This is the show centered around the Kardashians, so I get it. And he doesn't deserve a platform because he's such a jerk. But I'm still intrigued. What is he gonna say? Like why? Like I need him to do a podcast. Like I need him to do a tell-all. I need him at a reunion. Like I need to hear what is his mind process.
And at least just knowing that he's sorry, because he just seems like he's just cool. And it's like, now obviously it's been 9+, potentially almost 9 months since he had to tell Khloe about this. But still, it's like obviously your relationship isn't great. So just to kind of get the full aspect
Picture.
of this picture of the story and their relationship, that would have been just good to kind of get that missing piece because it just made him
Yeah.
look worse. But
Yeah, because
Chloe
I
handled
found
it
it
really
interesting is
well.
that Kanye just did an interview on Good Morning America this week, and it was really nice
Hmm.
to hear him say that he apologizes for any stress he's caused in Kim's life. He said some other things. Kanye, I guess, is more of a public figure than Tristan, but it would have been nice to at least hear Tristan say that. I apologize for all the stress I put on Chloe's life. Like, we're not hearing him say anything, and I get like he doesn't deserve a platform, but then he also we want to hear his side of the story, even though we don't like him, just because it's part of the show and it's part of the situation. So I don't know if he'll be on the
Yeah.
season in the future. I don't know if he's going to be in more scenes. I don't know how involved he'll be in this child's life. You know, he seems to have kids all over the country. He has 3 different baby mamas, 4 kids. So I don't know, what is his priority. But I know that Chloe is, an amazingly strong person and that she deserves a man that's going to treat her right. And I hope that she finds that because she's just such a pure soul. So we got to commend her. Before we go, I want to know what your predictions are for the rest of the season.
I mean, I think we saw it in kind of the teaser for the season, and I know you pointed out, Zach, that they're kind of showing these episodes out of order. I'm glad they did because I think this was a really buzzworthy first
Yeah.
episode, and I'm also glad and optimistic because I'm with you. Season 1, we would always get on here, recap it. Sometimes it felt like they jammed a lot in. Other times it was like they're just stretching everything out. And I'm taking the premiere episode as a good sign that they have a lot of good content this season. Because if they
Mhm.
didn't, I think it would have been really easy for them to tease us with the birth of the baby, leave that for episode 2. And this was really a jam-packed
Mhm.
episode when they could have left us on a cliffhanger. So the fact that they shoved all this into one episode, I think we're just gonna have really good, strong episodes, whether it's Kravis's wedding, whether it's, Chris getting that surgery that we've seen the teasers of,
Hmm.
whether it's, Kylie's birth story. We've had a lot of things that have happened since season 1. And regardless of what order they kind of choose to show us those moments, I think it's just going to be a lot of good, like juicy moments.
Yeah, as for me, I agree. I think the fact that they showed Chloe's entire birth story, and the story of like her and Tristan and the baby, this first episode was really smart to do editing wise and production wise because as we saw with Love is Blind after the Altar season 2, it was incredibly like disjointed and kind of jarring and awkward because we know in real time that these two married couples aren't together. So it's like, I think the fact that they showed us that with Chloe. They showed the entire thing like, hey, we know this is the situation. Here's what it is, and then in the next kind of episodes, they'll almost like rewind back to the beginning of everyone else's kind of storylines, if that makes sense. And so with that, they don't necessarily have to have like, you know, outside season content, off camera content to kind of fill in the blanks of what we're confused about, like Love is Blind was. So I'm glad that they did that. I thought that was very smart. And so yeah, I agree with Allison. There's clearly so much left to be seen with the season. I mean, I'm personally excited to kind of see Kendall's journey. I heard like in the teaser, she's like, I want to kind of step out on my own a little bit and almost kind of alluding to like some
Mhm.
businesswoman type of stuff. And that's what I want to see from Kendall. I think Kendall is so amazing. She's so zero focused in terms of modeling. So I'd love to see more of like what she has in the works up her sleeve. And then yeah, I'm intrigued of how they kind of show Kim and Pete, if they're going to show Pete at all, like because
Mhm.
I know they just broke up, and so it was after they filmed this season too. So I'm curious to see how they do that. And of course, Travis, they're so beautiful together. I can't wait to see their wedding. But yeah,
I
I'm actually
know.
genuinely like excited about this show. You guys have got me back into Kardashians again. This is like, okay, I'm with
Oh
it. I'm really
yeah.
with it.
We're hooked. I don't know what they're gonna show with the Kravis wedding. There was that, there was that scene that they were hugging each other in Milan. So I don't know if they'll just show preparation for the wedding or the actual wedding. But I can't wait to
Mhm.
see that. And I don't know what they're gonna do with Pete. There's a lot of rumors that they're gonna cut him out and he doesn't want to be
Mhm.
associated. But then there was that like trailer
Mhm.
of them like taking a shower. So who knows what will happen with that. But honestly, my favorite's Kylie. I love Kylie. I feel like She is just so fun to watch, and she's so humble for being so rich and fabulous. So I really enjoy like whenever she shares snippets of her life. So I'm just excited to see this season for Kylie specifically, but also totally invested in Khloe, Kim, Courtney, and Kendall's journey, and Chris. But of course, Allison is our number one Kris Jenner fan here. So don't want to step on any toes. That is all we have for today. So let us know your thoughts on the Kardashians season premiere on Hulu in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell before you guys go. I'm Zachary Reality with Allison Van Dam and Kayla Thompson. Our socials are on the screen right now, so be sure to give us a follow. Come say hello. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.